BooBaes.
Hello.
And hi, and welcome to
BooBaes.
BooBaes. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we're here to talk to you about a psychological kind of mindfuck.
I would say very psychological. I don't know what else you would call it because it's very much like you have a protagonist and antagonist, and the antagonist's way of getting to you is through your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of, I felt like as I was watching, I was like, wow, this must be Caitlin's ultimate fear. Like if she ever had a child.
Yeah.
Like
it did make me think for a little bit. I was like looking at it going, wow, God, why do people want kids?
Yeah, because honestly, it could, even if it's not a demon, turn into figuratively a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then thinking about like at the end with, for those of you who haven't read the title, we're covering case 39 today.
39.
But at the end, whenever she was like, you're afraid, like you just wanted your mom to love you, and your mom, she hated herself and she hated you, kind of thing. And I was like, oh God, what if I hate my child?
Well, yeah, I mean,
like, you never know.
That could be a thing, but also it's also playing on like parent issues. Like I'm gonna say daddy or mommy issues, but like, you know, because it's true, like everything is trauma, and like you take that as a cycle into your children and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like our parents did with us. And yeah, that's crazy. Like you said, I don't know why anybody would want a child. And especially not this child. Lily's a fucking
Her
beast.
name is Lilith.
Lilith, yeah.
Like, of course she's a demon.
Quite the embodiment. I'm seeing that the director, Christian Alvart, he is a German filmmaker, but he doesn't have too many to his name. There's not that. Let's see. He made Pandorum. I think I heard of that one. But a lot of these I don't know at all. That's wild. But yeah, it's starring Renee Zellweger.
Yes.
Which we all know from, you know, Bridget Jones's Diary, and I feel like a few other movies, but she was definitely made famous from that. And then we have Bradley Cooper, who I didn't remember was in this.
Yeah.
And also I was like, when I saw him, I was like, whoa, Bradley Cooper, what are you doing here? It was pretty funny. And
yeah, I was a little shocked at first. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, it was
Bradley. Him? And then it was him.
And then we also have Jodelle Ferland and Ian McShane. And yeah, it's pretty spot on. What we're starting with is basically it's a social worker. She lands this case 39 to be exact, and things kind of start to unravel in a very supernatural and demonic way.
Horrific.
Kind of really unfortunate because she was trying to do the most good thing I guess someone could do, and it turned out really horrible for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
really bitter in the ass.
I would never be nice to anybody ever in my life again after this. Yeah.
Yeah. I would also probably quit my line of work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Being like, never mind.
Yeah. Especially because that's just traumatizing.
It is.
Lily was quite the fucking beast, the demon.
Yeah, she was a good little actress.
She was, yeah.
She really made me feel bad for her at the beginning and stuff. And then as she started, like, her demeanor changed. Like, especially whenever she was talking with Doug.
Oh, yeah.
And
the little interrogate when he's like, what are you afraid of?
Yeah. When the way that she's just, like, sassing off to him, it was so mature. It kind of reminded me of, like, Orphan a little bit. Because then I was like, is this girl like twice what her actual, like twice her age?
Case
and
39
just acting?
Walked so the orphan could run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's giving.
Yeah.
But let's take it from the top.
Take it from the top. We open with a creepy looking man. It doesn't help that her parents are so disheveled looking that it was like, honestly, it was easy to hate them.
10 years? How?
Yeah.
How?
Once you figure it out, it's like, How are they still alive?
How? 10 years? That's crazy.
I'm also like Emily, they said.
I love how the dad was like, 10 years? You've had her for 2 fucking months. Like,
yeah.
don't tell me. Like,
don't come at me. Literally. You have no idea what we've been through.
You weak bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, we opened up on crazy looking mom and dad, and even creepier house as well.
Yeah.
And I love how they're basically checking in to make sure that their kiddo's asleep. But usually parents do that to make sure their kid's asleep because they need to behave and they need to get their rest. But these parents are like checking to see if she's asleep because they want to fucking murder her.
Yeah, they want to kill her, and it looks that way too.
They're also terrified of her. Yeah,
it looks like they are up to no good whenever they open the door, and then she just calmly says, "I can see you," to them, and it was like, oh, and they shut the door, and then we
move over to our protagonist, Miss Emily.
Yep.
And she's talking to Diego and his family.
Yep.
Basically, kind of what you see with any other social worker movie. Mom and dad seem to be having a rough time and raising Diego, and she's trying to convince the dad, like, hey, you need to do better, because if not, this cycle repeats and he's just, he's gonna end up like you. So please do better. And that's whenever we have kind of we get to see what Emily does. She's on the phone. She's talking to people about her cases. She got 38 of them, right? And she is, I think, ready to take a break because she's like kind of been overworked with everything.
Yeah, she's swamped, and she looks like she's at the end of her rope. And then all of a sudden Wayne comes by and he says, "How many cases do you have?" And she's like, 38. And he was like, "Well, here you go. Here's another one." And so then we get the reason why our film is called Case 39.
Yeah. And it's a little heavy on the nail, hammer on the nail, whatever you say. How do people say that? Do you know?
Nail on the head.
Nail on the hammer on the nail. I don't know. It sounds like something. A really bad country song. The hammer on the nail, and the nail on the hammer. But yes, she's got Case 39, and she's very much like, she puts it up on the little. I love the little frame we get from the camera, because she puts it up and she's like, "Nah, I don't want it. I don't need it. Whatever." She's overworked, and then you can tell that she's really contemplating, like, damn, okay, let me just open it up and see what it's about, because she has like a big heart.
Yeah, she's really giving.
She really is just like, she can, like, this child might need her. So she's like, let me check it out, opens it up, and then we get to see Lily. And right away you can tell, like, for some reason, I don't know if it's like a demon thing or if it was just her, but like it felt like there was something like
drawing her.
Yeah,
to
like
the
a
case.
spell, like a love spell. I don't know. Very like Little Mermaid when she's like got Prince Eric under her allurement.
Yeah. It does seem like there was some supernatural force calling her to this case. Almost like it was destiny of sorts for her to get it, or being manipulated by a kid.
Yeah, already, because somehow we do find out later too that like she's able to like foresee things and like kind of make things happen in a way that line up for her, what she wants, her interest.
Yeah.
And so we are with Emily. I keep wanting to call her Renee. We're with Emily, and she is, just when she's getting off, she's driving home. She's meeting Bradley up at the club, right?
Yeah, and we get a very quick and tiny title card.
Oh yeah,
flashing over the cityscape. It just says really small, Case 39. And very quickly it just flashes across the screen, and then it's gone. So
much so that I barely remembered it.
Yeah. It was very not in your face.
It's minimalistic.
It was very tiny in the corner, and it just said Case 39, and then it faded away.
And then we are, like we said, we were with at the club, and we're with Bradley Cooper, and you can tell, I guess they've been dating for a while. Ish, in a way, their boyfriend,
at least
girlfriend,
seeing each other.
Yeah.
I don't think they were in a committed relationship.
No. Because then he's like, I don't want to be in a real romantic relationship. Can we just have like a physical relationship?
Yeah. Well, I think he was saying if a relationship is too, I think he did want to be in a relationship.
Oh, okay,
but I think he was saying if it's too much for you.
That's right. Okay.
And then because she was like, oh, but work. And so she didn't have the capacity, the emotional,
the bandwidth.
Yeah, to really take in and nurture a relationship the way it should be. Her time was elsewhere. Yeah. And so he makes little kind of joke about it being just physical, at least, if nothing else. And then says, but like,
because he's like, you got 2 months.
Yeah. He says, you've got 1 month.
Oh, okay.
And then she goes, well, what happens at the end of the month? And he goes, well, I'll probably give you another. And then another 2. But then that's it. Yeah. And she's like, they're just laughing and having a good time together. They clearly have chemistry.
Yeah. And then this is whenever we have her in bed that night, I believe, and she's going over the case of Lily. And she's kind of thinking like, what's wrong? Like, how can I help this girl? So the next day she goes over to her house and she's knocking on the door and she's like, hey, it's me. I'm here. We had an appointment. And the mom's like, you were supposed to come the 17th. And she like has to show her the newspaper. And she's like, it is the 17th. Like,
it's Monday the 17th. This is
the date.
What it is.
And so the mom like closes the door, unlatches the latch and lets her in.
And she looks miserable.
Oh, she does. She looks like she does not sleep. She looks a little bit
haggard.
That's a good word. And so she lets her in, and that's when we see at the top of the stairs Lily, and she comes down, and this is when we get her mom, Emily, introducing herself to her and asking her name, which I thought it was really funny that it was like Emily and Lily. Like, I was like, these are very close,
similar names.
Yeah. But the way she answers her, she uses this voice a lot. Like, it's this like very childlike, like innocent, the voice that she puts on.
Lily?
Lily, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Emily, because Emily does have a very high-pitched voice.
Well, Emily sounds like the lady who does Jennifer Tilly. Renee Zellweger sounds like Jennifer Tilly to me. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
The lady from
Poltergeist? No.
Jennifer Tilly, the big boobed lady from Chucky.
Oh.
Bride of Chucky. That like, voice. That
yeah, I think so now.
She talks very like this, like very sexual.
A lot of vocal fry.
Yeah. And so she, but I'm talking about Lily, because a lot of the times Lily puts on this like little like, I'm sweet little Lily, like,
yeah,
hi, hello.
At first it was very believable, and it just seemed like she was super timid and was the way that she was. And then eventually you're able to see that it's an act, and she is putting on a specific kind of voice to fool people, to manipulate people.
Like the orphan.
Yep, exactly.
The orphan watched this movie and got her ideas.
Yep.
And what was her name? Ruth? I don't even remember.
It's been so long since I've seen it. It was pulled up and like suggested for me to watch next after watching this, though.
It started with an R. But anyways, did you ever watch the sequel, Orphan? But it was a prequel, Orphan First Kill.
No.
It was actually really good. It was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
At least I don't think I watched it.
Julia Stiles.
Memory is not reliable.
Going back to this movie, Case 39. Yes, we are meeting Lily. We get sat on the couch. Emily wants to talk to the whole family, and she's like, can we talk to Dad? Can we get him? And the mom's like, I don't know where he's at. And then like 10 seconds later, we hear like a saw or something go off in the backyard. And so then Emily's just like, can you go get him? It's better to talk to everybody. And so she's like, I love how the mom says he has nothing to say. And then when he does she's bringing him in, she's yelling at him. And he's like, the lady wants to talk to you. And he's like, tell her I have nothing to say.
And she's like, I did, but she still insisted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so he comes in, and the way he like won't speak directly to Emily, and it's really creepy.
Yeah.
The way that he is basically whispering in the mom's ear and saying like, we don't need your help. And the mom has to then repeat, Eddie says, we don't need your help. And
he looks pissed off. Like, he's like glaring at her. He's got this look like he looks threatening.
Yeah, he does. And then like she addresses him directly and is like, is there a reason you won't speak to me? And then the mom says, Eddie doesn't like speaking out of anger, which clearly he was pissed off.
Yeah.
But probably he was also just trying to save this woman too.
Yeah.
And
from his wrath, because he's just pissed off because he's got a demon child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, they already had the plan to kill her.
Yeah.
He was digging that hole and stuff. So you know, he was thinking this will all be over soon. Please just keep your head out of it for right now.
I feel that. Because I feel like ultimately, like, these people like aren't bad people at all either, and like because they're really painted to look like, damn, they must treat their child like shit, but they're literally have been driven to madness by her, which we see, you know, is what happens when you end up taking on Lily, and so she ends up, you know, having this whole interaction with them, and she goes back and talks to her boss Wayne and is like, look, like, we've got to intervene because this looks like it's a bad situation for her. And he's like, basically trying to downplay, and he's like, we've got so much going on, we'll take a look into it, but like, you know, he's not really taking it seriously. And so that's when she's like, look, you give me these cases, you want my opinion, and here's my opinion. If you, whatever you do about it, it's on your hands. She's basically saying, like, if something happens to this little girl, like, you're responsible for it.
Yeah, because she's done her job, and she's telling him that something's wrong, but he's not listening. Unfortunately, she's just wrong about what is wrong,
about what's happening.
Something is definitely happening, but it's not what she thinks. And so then she goes off to talk to Lily alone, and goes up to her at the water fountain. And I love how at first she's like trying to talk with her about like wanting a little sister, and how, because those two kids run by, and she's like, you know, I always wanted a little sister and stuff. And then she goes and drinks from the water fountain, but sprays herself instead, making Lily laugh, which was like, you know, a clever little way. But then she just all of a sudden flips, and she's so direct, and she's like, what's with you? And I was like, damn, bitch, like, for real, you couldn't have gone about that in a like
more sly way.
You were just so direct. And I was like, damn.
And I love it. She's like, just let me help you. And she's like, they hate me,
they want to send me to hell.
They go into their cellar and talk about how they want to send me to hell. That's exactly what she said. And I love how Emily was just like, like, okay, they said that,
you heard them say that.
And she's like, and I love how Wayne was talking to the parents too, and they were just like, we love our daughter, we want, you know, whatever. He's really trying to put on a show of like, they don't need to intervene, you know what I mean? And so we end up having, after all of that happening, Emily seeks out her friend. What's his name? Mike. Yes, of course, Mike. And she wants his help because she's like, some things aren't adding up, and you have a lot of experience, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But he's also telling her that he doesn't want to get involved because he's obviously gotten involved with stuff before, too much, and he's gotten in trouble, almost like lost his job and all these things. And so that's kind of an introduction to Mike. He's not helping right now, but he will help out later.
He's got a soft spot for Emily, it turns out.
And the dad, this is when we cut back to the mom and dad, and the dad is digging that hole in the cellar even more. And then we have...
And Lily won't talk to Wayne. Sorry, just going back a half step. Lily won't talk to Wayne and say what she told Emily because she's on tape and the dad's casing the room. So it looks really ominous. Like the dad is like, you know, forcing her to stay quiet about things and watching her, and, you know, like it's such an abusive thing to do. But it turns out again that it wasn't, she really had me fooled at first. I wasn't expecting it until she started talking to Doug that way.
And that's then I was like, oh wait, something's off.
I was like, okay, no, it's the little girl. But at first I was like, oh, what, this poor little baby. And then
like you were thinking these parents are horrible.
Especially whenever they put her in the fucking oven.
At first, where you think, because I've seen this movie, so it was already ruined for me. I can't recall what I was thinking when I first watched it. But so were you thinking like, was it like either the mom or dad were possessed or something, or
I don't know. Okay. I just thought that it was a bad home life, or maybe there was some sort of demon, kind of like in Lights Out, talking to the mom, like telling her to do things. Or telling the parents to do things and stuff.
Gotcha.
And then whenever she found the scratch marks on the floor, I kind of thought there was some satanic ritual involved, like she was going to find an emblem or something carved into the floor. But that wasn't the case.
No.
It was because
very much reversed.
They had been dragged in there or out and stuff like that.
But yes, like you said, Lily didn't fess up. She ends up going back with these people, and that's when she talked to Mike after that. Emily did, and then we are back now, and the dad is like digging that hole in the cellar, and then we cut to Emily. For some reason, also as well, this gives like, you probably shouldn't be doing that, but I guess we're gonna cross boundaries. Emily shows up at Lily's school, and starts to talk to her outside before she gets on the bus. Basically being like, here's my phone number, please call me if there's like anything goes wrong.
If you feel unsafe or anything, just give me a call. And then this is where Lily says to her, if I disappear, will you come look for me? Which is like, damn, little girl. But of course, that's exactly what Emily needed to hear. Yeah. Because Emily was like, yes, I will come look for you.
And you could tell that Lily knew what was happening with mom and dad and what they were preparing to do. And I guess maybe somehow she alerted even Emily to come to school and do this. You know what I mean? Like in some way, like it felt like
she's got Emily wrapped around her finger.
And so, obviously that, like you said, Lily saying that, Emily's like, what the fuck? So she's like, I need to help this child. Yeah. And so, the same thing, she ends up she calls Doug, right?
Yeah, she's calling Doug. He doesn't answer. And then all of a sudden, like a minute later or something, the phone rings again, and she answers, and she's like, too late, met someone else. And then it's Lily on the line saying that she's scared. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, what?
Yeah, because I guess this is 2009's version of like a you up text when she was trying to call Doug.
Yeah. She left the message saying, I thought you were still awake. Thought you'd still be awake, kind of thing. Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you said, she said that to Lily, but then it's Lily being like, fucking help me. And then she's like, what's going on, Lily? And Lily's like, what'd she say? I'm about to fall asleep or something like that?
Yeah, she's saying she's scared. And then she says, I'm sorry, I'm falling asleep. Yeah. And it was pretty funny to me, honestly, the way that she was like, I'm falling asleep, and was like pulling the phone away from her face. I was like, what the fuck? No, you're not. Yeah. Like,
it gave very fake acting.
Yeah, in that moment, I was like, this seems fake.
Well, it also seemed too,
but she actually did fall asleep. So yeah,
because
who knows?
But although she could have been faking, to be honest. Yeah, that whole time, because she
knew Emily would come,
and she wanted to be in that oven so that way Emily would see how bad, like, and to make it seem so bad. Yeah. But
she's just a manipulative little bitch.
She is. And so Lily ends up calling Mike, the dude who she was talking to earlier, and she is like, hey, something's really wrong, I need you to come over. And he's like, what? And she's like, I need you to come over now. And so
because he's not listening to her. And again, he was like, I told you I won't get involved. And she was like, you're not listening to me.
and they end up getting there really fast, both of them at the same time,
which was really weird, convenient. Yeah, I guess Mike lived pretty close.
And they end up trying to, like, knock on the door, yell. At the same time, we have mom and dad putting fucking Lily in the oven, and they get her in there, but then Lily wakes up and figure out like and sees what's going on, and so she's like reacting, and it's like a whole altercation between her jumping out of the oven and them trying to tie her up with duct tape.
And I should have known that she had some superhuman strength whenever she knocked that oven back with two adults holding it.
That's true.
And she's a little kid. And it, like, of course, it like cut the mom's face or something too, right? Like the mom's head was like near the thing, and it kicked her into the head.
And then all this is going on, and you're still thinking like, what the fuck? Because these parents are really trying to kill her. Yeah. And you have Emily yelling at Mike, like, did you hear that? Did you hear her scream now? And they kick the door down, and they end up kicking the door down, getting inside, and Emily is the first one into the kitchen, and she's like, oh my God, and ends up trying to get Lily out of the freaking oven, while at the same time, I believe Mike is trying to fight with the dad. Right?
Yeah.
That's all going Mike's on. It's like a mess.
Getting in an altercation with the dad, and then Emily is focused on getting Lily out of the oven. And then
it gives enough time for mom to grab that knife.
Yep, exactly. And then comes up behind her, but thankfully Mike had knocked dad out just in time to
really hard on the fridge.
Apprehend. Yep.
Like, dented the fuck out of that
and
fridge.
It broke his jaw.
Yeah.
His jaw was like all sideways. Oh, when they showed that, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And then mom got knocked the fuck out because she like hit some chairs after Mike like threw her off of him. And it's pretty crazy. Also, whenever homegirl Lily's like hands and arms were in the oven and they like shoved it on her arms. Do you remember that part? It was pretty sick. It's pretty bad. Pretty terrifying and traumatizing event for everybody, I feel like, in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so we have, of course.
It must suck for those parents to know they were so close.
Oh, yeah. To get rid of, obviously, yeah, because, I mean, they had the fire on and everything. Like, it had just got lit.
And because now.
But honestly, though,
they're in danger.
I feel like she would have broken out of that oven.
Oh, yeah. They should have, like, drugged her or something or just shot her.
Just, like, put gasoline on her. Pour gasoline on her and light her on fire. I feel like that would have been the way to go.
Oh, that'd be so stinky.
Yeah. Especially later on, too, when, like, the way Emily goes about it. I'm like, why? It feels like she, like, locked her in her room. This is her in her room, and she like doused everywhere else with gasoline, but the actual place that she was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it
all around the room, but
still
didn't actually put.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can't put gasoline on her for risk of waking her up,
but like on the bed.
Yeah, or at least on the floor leading up to the bed, and then it would get engulfed pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I digress. We're getting ahead of ourselves. They save Lily, and we are kind of going through this little montage of the mom and dad going through a court system. They get deemed not mentally fit, right, to stand trial, so they like have to go to like a mental facility to get evaluated. And then
Mike says something along the lines, "It's human nature," and I was like, "It's human nature to put your kid in an oven?"
Yeah, because she was like,
"What the fuck?"
She was like, "I can't believe like the crazy thing." And he's like, you'd be surprised what people can do. It's human nature.
Yeah. I was like, oh.
Yeah, wild. And so then we have Lily talking to Doug, and this is when they get their first kind of interaction, and this is him kind of very much like she's obviously been through a lot of stuff, and I guess he works in conjunction with Emily's office and social work. I guess that's how they met too, because he's a child psychologist. Is that what? Yeah, right. And so
he could be a psychiatrist too. Yeah, I don't know,
something in that vein.
Yeah,
we never really got an actual like.
He's a therapist, of some sort.
And this is whenever we have him talking to her. He's kind of doing a little bit of a quick evaluation and stuff, and we have Lily and Emily talking after that, and she's basically telling Emily, sorry, because their names are so similar. Lily's telling Emily, like, Doug tells me I'm going to go to like some home for a while until they like find me a foster care place, but I want to live with you. And Emily's telling her like that's not possible, like I just work on the case, like it wouldn't work out. And
conflict of interest.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's whenever Lily's really pushing it and is really using her like charm and like making Emily feel bad for her, to where now we literally have Emily like petitioning and talking to all these different people to try to get Lily to come home with her until they find like a permanent home for her.
Yeah. That way she's with someone that she trusts and feels safe around. Because she saved her. So obviously she would feel the most comfortable with her.
BooBaes. And now, a word from our sponsors.
BooBaes.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
So she brings her home, and she's like talking with her and stuff. You know, they're having a nice, touching little moment. She's like brushing her hair, giving her chamomile tea.
It really feels like everything's gonna be like hunky dory now.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
yay.
Which I was like, oh, okay. Well, what else can go wrong in this movie? I was like, so is the movie over?
Right? Yeah, everything's okay now. Yeah, that's really what it gave. Even actually though, because that is kind of true. Like whenever that whole thing was going on with the parents and stuff, with the like kid in the oven, it did seem very like final movie moment.
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's such a bold move to put a child in an oven. Yeah. So it did seem like it was over.
And so we have Emily the next day. Now she is going to Lily's old house, and she's there to kind of I don't know if it was to pick up stuff for her or what, or like just gather information. She went there to just kind of see what condition she was living in, and she gets let in
to collect her things.
Right, okay, I thought so.
She was picking up some of the stuff that she needed,
and so she gets let in there by herself. She's checking it out, and this is when we start to kind of see like kind of red flags of like weird stuff that is in her mind weird, because obviously we said that like the parents' room had like deadbolts on their door, but like from the inside, so it means they were trying to keep themselves inside of their room and something out. And then like the scratches on the floor, and then like we see that like they were pulling the dresser in front of the door to block it, and that's whenever she ends up going down to the cellar and seeing like the big hole that was down there that they were digging. So a lot of these things are just kind of like going off in her mind as like, okay, something's not adding up, but all right. She's kind of just gathering stuff and going. And then this is when
there's also a lot of religious iconography around the house too, that she like, because she picks up the Bible at one point. We passed 2 crosses on the wall and stuff like that, and she seemed like perplexed that maybe that they were God-fearing people.
But then did this to the child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little did she know they were using that to protect themselves
From said child.
And we're with Lily at therapy. And it's just Lily at therapy. Does anything very big happen here? I think this is where we get an introduction to she's in the same therapy group as Diego.
Yeah.
The little kids group.
She also at one point says, I love you.
Oh, that's true to Emily.
Mm-hmm. And Emily's like, love you too. I think she was dropping her off at school.
It was after that part. Yeah. She drops her off at school. And that's when I was also thinking like, that's very soon, but okay.
And then, basically, I know it was really soon. But like, of course, this kid probably, if she was about to be murdered and stuff, it kind of makes sense that she would be like, I love you. You saved me kind of thing.
And then I guess the reason why we saw her at therapy with Diego, and it was very apparent to like show Diego in that therapy group because this is when Wayne wants to see Emily. And then Wayne is like, something's wrong with Diego. Diego killed both of his parents last night.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, damn. And then whenever we get there and start investigating the scene, we see that not only did he just kill his parents, he like slaughtered his parents. He killed them with a tire iron. Yeah. And just the scene intense. Was a massacre. There was blood everywhere. And I mean,
tire iron, I can only imagine, like to the skull.
Yeah.
And with enough demon strength, like that's just like spaghetti soup. Eventually.
Yeah. Little SpaghettiOs.
Spaghetti soup. That's just what you wanted. Can I get the spaghettini? The spaghettoni?
Spagnetti.
Spagnetti, yes. But it's
Spignetta.
Skulls.
Yeah.
Bashed in.
I very confidently said to a waiter the other night the wrong name for this wine. It was Spignetta.
But
and I was like,
knew exactly what you were talking about.
Well, he said, can you turn the menu around and show me so I make sure I get it right?
Yeah.
And so he still needed, because I was like, can I have the Spagnetti, please? And he was like,
you mean this one?
And then I pointed and I was like, oh, Spignetta.
He knew where you were going with
he
that.
Just needed to humiliate
confirm
for me.
No, he needed to confirm. Shout out to John at Moroso's. You
Yeah.
were a great server, by the way, dude.
He was.
You handled a party of like fucking 12 people.
Yeah, right, like, close to end.
Tremendously well.
Of the night. He still fed me dessert.
Yeah.
So that's all I cared about.
And I feel like the kitchen even was just like, nah, we ain't going to do that. And he was like, guys, come on, just do it for me. Come on.
It was only 3 minutes.
Come on.
After they closed. Oh, I did feel bad. Okay. I didn't realize it was that. Time flew.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, that's right. I have pizza at the house still.
Right on.
Nice. I forgot about that.
Love a good pizza. And so we have Wada Bida Binga Bong. Who do we have? We have
she's going to talk to Diego now.
That's true.
And Diego he's crying.
Mommy and daddy.
Yeah. And
you can tell he definitely it was probably an outer body experience and he was under the possession of something else because even the Mike was like, I was there when I saw them apprehend him. It was took 3 men to get this little kid down.
Yeah. Because she was also like, how could a 10-year-old have done this? Like, this isn't possible. And yeah. She was right.
Yeah, because we're talking with him and Diego doesn't even know why he did it. Like, he can't give her a reason. He's just crying and basically in tears. And then we have Mike observing. So it's all very weird. And we also get to find out that we then get with Emily and Lily, and Lily is asking questions about her family and really wants Emily to open up. But Emily is kind of shutting it down.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we do have them back at home, and Lily went snooping through Emily's shit and found some pictures, and Emily sees her with it, and she's like, why were you, snooping through my stuff? And she's like, I just wanted to learn more about you. Is this your mom? And Emily says yes. And it's, we don't get much more from that right now, but it's just to kind of tie in a little what's it called? Foreshadowing for later on in the movie.
I mean, she does tell us that her mom died in an accident. It was raining and she was driving too fast and figures out that, and she said she died in an accident, or we were in an accident.
Yeah.
So she corrects it. So we know that she was with her in the car whenever she did that. She was trying to end both their lives, I think. But she didn't. And now
failed.
Yep. So then we see Emily locking up everything in the closet, kind of being like, okay, yeah, you can't go through my things anymore. And then where are we next?
And then this is whenever we see Mike Mike gets a hold of Emily, and he's telling her that there was a phone call that came from your house at the time to Diego's house whenever the murders happened.
Yeah, at like 2 a.m. Yeah,
and
right
Emily's
before he
like,
killed his parents.
Emily's like, I that wasn't me. That's not possible. And he's like, well, I've got the records and it came from your house. And she's like, well, I didn't do it. So that only leaves one other person. So then they start to ask Lily about it.
Yeah.
But Lily just bold-faced lies and says she didn't call. She didn't make the phone call. And they like ask her repeatedly, and even to Mike, she's like, I didn't do it. And so that's whenever Mike steps outside and he's talking to Emily about it, and he's like, I've seen a lot of things, and like I know basically like you'd be surprised at what people do. Like you think that they're monsters, but then you come out, you realize that they're just ordinary people. And he's like, she's lying. She's like lying to
he's
us.
like, she's bold-faced lying. And then whenever she goes to talk to Diego, because she goes to do that next again, Diego's saying he didn't get a call. And then the more that she pushes it, he starts like hyperventilating and choking on his food.
Yeah.
Or maybe not on his food. He just starts
he's just like having a panic attack.
Yeah. Just starts choking. And then eventually he's in the hospital room.
Yeah.
And he confesses.
He breaks,
He says it was Lily. And then I'll let you say the Spanish. Did you write it down? No.
But, no.
Oh. Okay. Basically he just said it was a man who
hombre.
called. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says it was a man who called, but also said it was Lily. So he was like,
it makes
confusing.
It weird already as well, because he's like, it was a man on the phone,
on
the line, a man's voice.
And Emily's like, what? This is confusing.
And everybody's like, so how can this be? And so this is whenever we have Emily now kind of starting to get a bit weird now with Lily, because things aren't kind of adding up or making sense. And also she knows that Lily was lying to her about the phone call. So she's just kind of like, this is sus. This is a little weird.
Yeah.
And so then Lily ends up having a meeting with Doug. And this is whenever we have that moment when Doug is trying to he's asking Lily a bunch of questions, and he's trying to ask her about her fears. And she says, I'll tell you what I'm afraid of if you tell me what you're afraid of.
Yeah.
And that's when he starts to go over about how when he was smaller, put his hand in it, was climbing a tree and put his hand into a hornet's nest, and then got stung by bees or hornets, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a hornet and a bee?
I have no clue.
Okay. Stung by hornets. And then ever since then as well has like just been afraid of hornets.
Yeah. Cause he got stung over like 100 times, and he is obviously rightly terrified of them. And he jokes, he goes, and I don't climb many trees either. And, he says, okay, now what about you? And he asks her, like, you said you're not afraid of the dark. You're not afraid of your parents. Like, you're not afraid of these things. So what are you afraid of? And she says, me. And she says, I have bad thoughts about certain people. And then she was like, about you, kind of things.
And he's like, why? What about me? What do I do? What did I do to you?
Did I ever say anything wrong to you or anything like that? And she was like, nope, it's just the way that you are. You're facile. And then I was like, damn, she's being really sassy.
Yeah. Because he's like, you don't even know what that means. And she like gives him a textbook definition of what it means.
Yeah. And he was like, ouch.
And then she's like, and I think you're smug.
Yep. And he was like, okay. And then he was like, well, he starts to apologize. And she was like, don't apologize. You're a grown up. It's embarrassing. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, I wrote, Lily is being a bitch to Doug.
Yeah, she was. And he leaves the room clearly shaken.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's been a long time, talking to Emily, that it's been a long time since I felt like this. And she was like, what do you mean? And he was like, threatened. I feel threatened. And she was like, what? As a kid.
Yeah. And he gets into the elevator and he's just like, I know a specialist. I'm going to call them in the morning. And then we just get this fucking little Lily spinning around in a chair that she does a lot.
Yeah.
She loves spinning around in a chair, looking and smiling menacingly. And so we're back at home. It's dinner time, and Lily is cutting her fucking peas like the most like psychotic way ever. She's literally splitting peas.
Yeah,
which,
splitting
like,
peas.
Who does that?
And then getting the little innards out, not eating the shell, and then poking it with a knife and eating it off the knife.
Yeah.
Too, which is like, you could cut your tongue open. But it's important that she's splitting these peas because that comes into play later.
A lot of foreshadowing in this film.
Yeah.
But she's doing that, and then she can tell that something's off with Emily, and she's like, does she ask her if she's mad at her or something like that?
Yeah, I think she does explicitly say, like, are you mad at me? And then she's like, no. And then she was like, well, what's wrong? Let me brush your hair. Yeah.
And I love how she's like, let me brush your hair. It'll make you feel better. And she's like, no, thank you. And she's like, well, I'll go get the brush. She's like, I said no. And
thank you.
Literally. And I love how she's like, Doug said something, didn't he?
Yeah. And then she was like, no, Doug says you're doing really well and stuff like that. And then she was like, no, he said something. Otherwise, you want to be acting like this kind of thing. And then we're with Doug.
Very perceptive young demon.
Yes.
And then we're with Doug, and he's chilling. Looks like he's like doing late night work, and
I think he's trying to figure out about what the hell kind of disorder this child has.
True, because he's looking at personality disorder papers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then that's
not a personality disorder, just a demon.
He literally, he gets a phone call, and it ends up being this kind of staticky phone call. Tells them like, sorry, you got the wrong number. Try again, whatever. I can't hear you. And this is whenever we do have him looking down at his paperwork, and then all of a sudden he gets kind of like this little inkling of like something being in his ear. And then we start to hear like little buzzing sounds throughout the room. And then that's whenever I think the bee comes out of his ear, right? At this point?
Yeah, so the hornet starts
yeah,
crawling out of his ear because he keeps hearing it. And then he finds one first because he like goes and gets the Q-tip and starts like digging in his ear, and then pulls one out, and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then they just start like falling out of his ear
and his nose, his socket, like everything for the most part.
Yeah, eventually they start coming out of every orifice.
Yeah.
And he's hearing all these hornets, but he's not seeing them at one point, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? And then he like turns around and looks at his back, and he just has this like swarm of them on his back. And it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Like I would be freaking out.
Yeah.
I'm not even afraid of hornets. I don't have a legitimate reason to be afraid of them.
Well, even just bugs that fly, like so many a swarm. And then he has them on his back, and he's trying to take it off, really carefully, puts it into the shower. And then, he's having this moment of just himself freaking out. And then it's so severe that he ends up like falling into the shower, breaking the glass, like swinging himself all over the room, trying to like get these
hornets off of him.
It's very kind of like like Pennywise. Like when it's not real, but it is real.
Manipulating their surroundings.
It's so real that they feel it's real. To where he's like literally twisting and thrashing around so hard that he ends up like snapping his neck, I guess, because I like at one point I don't know how he did it, but
and he also I think hit his head on the sink, knocking the sink off the wall, that's how he got that slice across his forehead. Because he had a big slice on his forehead too, but then all of a sudden his body just like breaks,
and then he like fell down and like slumped onto the toilet. So it's a lot. I was also like very like, it happened so fast.
Yeah, it did.
But Doug is dead.
Doug's dead. And as we then see we're at a funeral service for him. And, Lily tries to hold Emily's hand. Emily like kind of shakes her hand loose and, acts like she's wiping her tears away or something. But I think legitimately Emily didn't want to hold her hand.
No, she didn't. And not at all. And Lily can pick it and sense, like she picks that up and senses it. Yeah, because
on the drive home, she asks her, you think it's my fault, don't you? And she was like,
it's not your fault.
No, it's not your fault. It's no one's fault. It was an accident kind of thing. But Lily's like also shaking her feet, like kind of like a little sing-song, like kicking her feet like she was listening to a little song or something.
Yeah.
Very happy motion.
Not grieving. Not being sensitive to someone who is grieving.
Yeah.
And this is whenever we have Emily talking to Mike about Lily, and she's trying to be like, girl, there's something wrong here. Like, she's doing it. She's a demon. I don't know. Well, not necessarily saying she's a demon, but something's wrong. And telling her about how, like, the parents had things like, they were trying to barricade themselves in their bedroom. Like, and I think this is where he tells her she's crazy, right? Essentially?
Yeah.
Or she's losing it.
Yeah, basically. And because she keeps asking him too, like, was there a call from her house? And Mike's like, I already checked. There was no call from your house. So no, it wasn't that kind of thing. And he's basically just like
kind of gaslighting her a bit.
Yeah. So then she goes and she's like, you know what, fuck it. Because whenever she took Lily in, she had to give away this case. She no longer was in charge of Lily's case. So she goes to someone else's desk, steals the files, and then starts watching a little tape interview with the parents. Basically, we're with the mom and they're interviewing her, and then she's just so point blank, matter of factly being like, yeah, we wanted her dead.
Yeah, she was like, it was his idea for the oven, but we still both wanted her dead. And they were like, why do you want her dead? And they were like, because she is a did she say it? Did she say she was a demon? Or I don't know. She just said that she wanted her dead.
I think someone says,
she's like, that's not my daughter.
Yeah. And they were like, because you think your daughter is the devil.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah.
Yeah, essentially. And then she ends up saying, I mean, we dealt with her for 10 years, you know, everyone just died around her. You know, I had brothers, and my husband had sisters, and they just died. And then
something like that.
You know, she, I guess, kept us around because she needed us until she didn't need us anymore, and just kind of like looks, breaking the fourth wall right through the camera, and it's like looking at Emily, and she's like, damn.
Yeah, she says she couldn't get rid of us until she found somebody else. And once she did find Emily, that's when she could get rid of them. And what did that, it reminded me of a movie we watched recently.
I don't know. What part? Like the part of like pawning someone demon off onto the other person, or?
Oh, it was a K-drama I was watching. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
I thought we watched it, but it was K-drama.
That was for your other podcast.
Yep.
And so then that's whenever we have
it's good K-drama.
We now get to see Miss Emily going and visiting and talking with the dad. And this is whenever she brings up to him, like, you know, shit's going on. It's weird. He's like, who died? And she's like, my friend. And he's like, everyone dies, man. Whenever she was born, our family just started dropping like flies, you know,
left and right.
She is a demon from hell. The only way to get rid of it is by killing it. And so he
says from the moment she came into being, she brought something with her. And he says that she wants to know what your ideal hell is and make you live there. Because Emily asks, what does she want? And that's what he responds with.
Basically just to torture the living.
Yep.
In a way, yeah.
And then he kind of confirms that Lily can see more than what she lets on, because he says it's like she sees everything, and what she doesn't see, she senses.
Yeah, and I think even Emily was like, why me? And he's like, because you were good. Because, like, you do good things. She feeds off of good people. Good energy. And so this is whenever she ends up, you know, he's like basically telling her she has to kill her off and to protect herself. And then this is whenever she ends up going home, and she's like demon proofing her house, and she's like taking the phone down, and she's like putting, you know, those bolts up, I believe. Maybe not at this point, but she is doing everything she can. But then she sees that Lily gets home off the school bus, and she like gives her a little wave, and she's waiting inside, and she like at this point has like the kitchen knife with her. So you can tell she's like kind of contemplating like doing something now in this moment, but also
I think also she grabbed it as more of a protection for herself. Like she was thinking, I need to protect myself.
That's true.
And then she chooses probably the worst possible hiding spot for that knife.
Under that fucking pillow.
Right. First behind the fish tank. Yeah. I was like, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's also, if it was up against a wall, that would be one thing. But it wasn't even the part that was up against the wall. It was a part that you can just walk right by.
Exposed. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
But then she puts it under that pillow, and then it's like sticking out of the pillow.
Yeah. And Lily sits right next to it. I feel like knowing.
Yeah, for sure. She knew it was there. And then we have Lily like coming in and then talking to her and being a really fucking cryptic psycho bitch. You know, her and Emily are kind of talking, and she's like, where's the phone? And she's like, oh, it stopped working. And then she goes to the kitchen. She's like, oh, funny, that one too, huh?
Yeah.
And Lily's like, I had gym today, so I'm going to shower.
And as she walks off, she says, "Are they being nice to my mother?
Oh, that's right.
Are they being nice to her?"
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, "What?" And then she was like, "My mother. You went to go see her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said you were going to go see her." And she was like, "I never fucking said that."
Yeah.
She didn't say fucking.
And Lily's like, well, I must have dreamt it then. Yeah. And then at that point, if I were Emily, I would have been like, but you don't even sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we have then, I think it's already the next day, and we see that Emily is at therapy Lily's at therapy, and Emily goes to go pick her up. And this is when we see like Lily whisper something to her little friend in her friend's ear.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emily like freaks out and like goes in and like yanks her out of the group. And that
causing much alarm.
Oh yeah,
to everyone else around her.
Especially because all these kids come from like battered homes, and that lady's like, "Don't you ever fucking do that here again, you crazy bitch."
Yeah, and she was like, "No, you don't understand."
Yeah, she's like, "I'm tired," or what'd she say? No, Lily comes up. She's like, "No, it's okay. She's just super stressed with work. She loves me, and I never want to I want to live with her. Don't take me away, please." Yeah. And so that's a whole scene, and like Emily's kind of getting fed up at this point, and Emily gets into the elevator with Lily.
And as she's getting in the elevator,
right
why Emily? Why Emily? Why Emily? Why Emily? 1,000 fucking times.
Mm-hmm.
I would have lost my shit.
Yeah.
It's like in Family Guy, the mama.
Mommy. What? And she's like, what? And he's like, nothing. Bye.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But yes, it's very much that. And so she's deliberately trying to annoy Emily and like really rile her up. And this is when they're in the elevator, and Lily's like, I want to go to therapy and you better let me. And then Emily's like, you're never coming here again. And then Lily's like, are you sure about that? And makes Emily feel like the elevator is like plummeting down to their death.
Yeah.
It's really freaky. It scares the fuck out of Emily because it's not really happening. So like obviously the elevator ends up opening up. They walk out. People try to come in. Emily is like fucking shook. She is scared. She
the
probably
guy's
peed
looking
on herself
at her
a little bit.
Probably, yeah. The guy's looking at her like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
I had a dream last night too that I was in an elevator that
That
broke.
was dropping?
Yeah.
That's scary. Because of the movie?
No, I watched this morning.
Oh, well, it looks like it's going to happen to you soon.
Don't say that.
Well,
we have to go down 21 floors.
Right I'm going to go down a different one than you today.
No.
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Gosh. It was funny. As we got into the elevator to come up here, because we both got to the Alico at the same time, I was like, I just watched a movie, forgetting that it was the movie we're about to cover.
Literally.
And I was like, I just watched a movie where the elevator like breaks and falls.
That'd be pretty scary.
Then he was like, you mean this one? And I was like, oh, that's right. It's the one we're covering. I'm just stupid.
Life blurs. It's okay. You're not stupid. But it's also very scary to be on an elevator. Because I looked down that elevator the other day, like or a few weeks ago when we were here, and that's like really like it's up there. And imagine like the velocity times speed times gravity times 4x plus 9, like you're just it's an explosion.
Dead.
Yeah. And so obviously Emily
I'm knocking on
really
wood.
spooked. We're leaving, and at this point, I think my bad. I think I got a little bit ahead of myself. This is when she's talking to fucking Mike, and she's trying to tell him like, hey, she's a fucking demon. And he's like, look, I know she's a lying, deceitful little child, but she's not a demon, and you need to get help because I do not want to report you.
Yeah, he says a damaged, deceitful, and manipulative child is not a demon.
The way though, he really don't like Lily though. She's damaged, she's deceitful. That little bitch is a cunt, but she's
manipulative.
You know what? My bad, my language. She is not a demon though. There's that though. And he's also, I also really like though, because this happens a lot in movies where like really sane people and people that you would know in life that like if you were to come to me and start talking about this shit, I would believe you, because not a doubt, like there's no part of me that thinks that you would have a mental break or be that crazy to think something like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when it's like, you're my friend and like I'm getting worried about you. Go
like
seek
and
help.
Smile when her fiance was like
that stuff too. Yeah, like
such a dickhole move.
Yeah, like I would believe you more if like you were to tell me like there's some ghost and a demon and we've got to do this and this and that, and I'd be like, okay. because I know that that's not everyday convo, and why would you ever bring that up? You know what I mean?
Unless I was at my wit's end.
Yeah. Anyways, and also because the dude Mike, who's supposed to be like some like detective or whatever, like obviously there's a bunch of other context clues. Like it's not like this came out of nowhere. Like I don't know. Anyways, I'm going on.
Yeah, lots of things have been happening that he should have maybe had believed her a little bit.
I won't be too. We won't get too heated on Mike. Yeah. But yes, we are back with Emily at home, and this is where she's bolting up the fucking doors like the parents did.
Yep, putting deadbolts on her doors, and then she, of course, drops one screw, and it rolls under the door,
and fucking Lily's there.
Yeah, she's reaching around, and then all of a sudden you just see little feet, and she looks up, and Lily's standing there like fucking Samara or some shit with her long dark hair covering part of her face.
She's just like, good night.
Yeah.
Love you, Mom.
Love you.
Make sure to lock that one. You're gonna need it.
It's so creepy.
It's the next day. We're at work, and it's kind of like this little montage of her being there all day because she doesn't want to go home. She's afraid to go home, and at one point she's she's on this phone with this one lady who's just kind of like badgering her and won't let her get a response in. And she loses her cool and goes off on the lady, and she's like, why don't you stop beating your child, or I'm gonna go over there and beat your ass.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking kick your ass just like you beat your kid.
Yeah.
Or something.
And Wayne comes up and he's like, okay, you obviously are in no shape to be here. You should go home. And then she's like, I don't want to go home. And then he gets a phone call, and it's that static phone call type of bullshit again.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, Wayne's gonna die now. But he goes, it's for you.
Yeah, gives it to her. And then it's fucking Lily, and she's like, you shouldn't leave me unattended at home. It's not really good.
Yeah, you shouldn't leave me home alone, Emily. And then she hangs up immediately, sets the phone down, and she looks back up, and Wayne's gone.
Yeah.
Everything.
Because he was never there.
Yeah, everything is gone. The phone was not there. Nothing was there. The office was empty.
Because I'm assuming that it's like 9 p.m. or something, and she's just been there all day.
Yeah, I think
track
so.
Of time, dissociating.
And then all of a sudden you hear the familiar sound of that chair spinning on its own too. And we look up, and across the office, one of the chairs is spinning on its own. And
very scowy.
It was. And then she gets home and walks right past Lily, and Lily goes, don't ignore me. My mother used to ignore me.
Yeah. Just go straight to her room, locks it, and you can hear like the deadbolts just like click, 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 click.
Yep. She's locking all of them, and Emily's starts banging on the door, asking to come in, saying she's scared because there's a thunderstorm going on outside. And she's like, Emily, let me in. I'm scared, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just normal knocking at first, but then it starts to turn into like violent banging on the door.
Yeah. Something that a child can't do.
Yeah. Because it sounded like the first one was like, it sounded like she had like a battering ram or something and just like charged the door with it.
It was really loud and it's really violent. And then it also seemed at one point, to me at least too, like it was coming from like a height that like from the top of the like all you know what I mean, like not even just like obviously she's a kid, she can't reach that high. So yeah, I was like those demon arms probably
she's getting bigger and stuff. And then all of a sudden, as Emily is hunkered down in the corner, just like
with a knife in her hand.
Yeah, with a knife in her hand, petrified at what is happening on the door in front of her. The banging stops, and then she hears sounds from the closet. She hears something like clothes moving, like the hangers moving.
Yeah,
and
on the line.
She was like, what the fuck is that? And then it's like the burnt mom, right?
Yeah, it was.
Or a burnt lady.
Lily's burnt mom.
Yeah.
The one who
Maggie
abused her. Maggie. I never got her name. Yeah. And she ends up, it's very like much like, what's the Conjuring, whenever that one girl comes out of the closet. No, she's on top of the closet.
On top of the wardrobe.
The wardrobe. It felt that way. But anyways, Emily runs away enough, and then Maggie just comes charging out of the closet, and then we have Emily running through the whole house and then running out of the front of the house, tripping, falling off the stairs and into the rain, and like her just shirt and underwear, and just running out into the street. And then we have fucking Maggie just like rushing right through what are those called? Like a railing, the rail.
Yeah.
The porch.
On the porch.
Yeah, just like busts right through it and just starts charging towards her. And then for some reason, because I also feel like it's like supposed to be 1 a.m. or something, like middle of the night. maybe not, but there's a bus, just like residential, just like they're chilling. Yeah.
It was out of service, but yeah, still there. And she's like banging on the window and she's like, please let me in, let me in. Mm-hmm. And he finally does. Yeah. And she gets inside and she's still freaking out. And then he's like, what is your problem, lady? Like, there is no one outside. Mm-hmm. And she was like freaking out still. And he was like, look, there's no one there. And then she finally calms down enough and is like, what the fuck?
Nobody there.
And then so she starts heading back to the house now. But she stops at her car first and grabs the spare key from under the back of her trunk and gets in the car to...
She was planning to leave
her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden, of course, Lily's in the back seat and she says, leaving a child unattended is a jailable offense.
That's so scary.
Yeah.
Because also, how the fuck did Lily know she was going to get into the vehicle? Also, a lot of things. But Lily's a fucking
I feel
demon.
like Lily can teleport too.
She can do something.
Or something.
Because she...
Like, I feel like that's how she got out of the house.
The way she just at the end. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way she just popped up, fucking scary. And so anyways, obviously Emily's freaked out. So she's like, oh my God. And so this is whatever Lily starts telling her, like, if I want to eat ice cream for, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if I want to do this, if I want to go to therapy, if I want to do anything, you have to do what I want.
Yep, I want a new dress. You got to get me one. Mm-hmm. And then she says, don't be sad. This is your new beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like, ugh.
She's basically being like, do you understand? Like, this is like not like, like.
This is non-negotiable. You do what I want.
Very much that. Yeah. And so this is whenever the next day we have, and I guess we might have glossed over it, my bad earlier. Whenever,
she had asked her to ask Nancy, I think was her name.
Yeah, to expedite the process of finding her home.
Yeah, and Nancy was like, I think her name was Nancy. She was like, "What in the world? You like literally petitioned for this girl to be in your house," and she was like, "What the heck? You really fought for this kid and now you're wanting me to speed up the process?" Because honestly, she's not a priority of mine right now because she's safe in your home. And then she was like, no, like, I need this kid out. And then so Nancy runs up to her as she gets to work the next morning and she's like, we found a home for Lily. Like, it's this nice family from somewhere upstate
Idaho.
And they're ready to come pick her up on Friday. She shows her the picture of the family and stuff like that. And they look happy and everything. And
so you can tell immediately that Emily's like, I can't push this
willingly or knowingly put this.
Because then it goes straight immediately to her talking to the dad about like, what would happen. He's like, no, if she goes with this family, then it just begins again and it starts with them. Like, it has to end with you, essentially.
Yeah. And he says inner sleep is the only time you have the upper hand. But that's hard. Like, she doesn't sleep a lot.
The one time that she did sleep, you fucking came and broke her out of the oven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were trying to get rid of her then, and we watched her every night for 3 months, and every time she was awake. So it's hard to find her when she's in that vulnerable state.
Yeah.
And then he also says, if you're not afraid, she can't hurt you. So basically fear is exactly like it.
Yeah, it's what it feeds off of. Wow. Yeah, literally just in a child form. And so this is just it, chapter 5. No, but we do have then her mother, Maggie. She is in her padded room and she's getting medicines and stuff, and she's telling the nurse, like, please don't leave me in here. But she gets left by herself, and we see that even from like afar, Lily is like literally
able to torture them.
Yeah, because she's sending her mom visions of her being in like an oven being burned alive. And then we have her dad at lunch, and he's just trying to mind his own business, but we see an inmate who is splitting peas the way that Lily does, and he ends up talking like her in her voice, or I guess maybe she is communicating through him, but she's like, I'm so glad you're in here, Daddy, and getting the help that you need. Yeah. And homeboy Edward, I think his name, just loses his shit and just attacks the inmate, stabs him in the neck with the fork.
Doesn't hesitate.
You can tell that hit a main vein. Like, he's probably gonna bleed out. And then we have him trying to do even more and attack him even more, but like, he's on the table, they're trying to get him down, they're fighting with him, the guards, and then he ends up slipping and falling in a way that he ends up getting the fork stabbed into his own head. So he's pretty much dead.
Yeah, he dies.
Because we do get confirmation immediately after by freaking Emily, and she goes up to Mike's place and she's like, Edward Sullivan is dead. And he's like, I know. Also, I have some other information come in. You need to hear this.
Yeah, he says she's been using the cell phone. There was a call that went to Doug that night, but it was from your cell phone, so it took me a few more days to track it. And he goes, you know what? I'll help you.
Kill
because
her.
Yeah, because she's explaining like the only way to stop it is to kill her, kind of thing. And he was like, I'll help you. I was kind of shocked at how quickly he agreed.
Same for me as well.
Especially with how like adamantly he was denying her earlier.
It seemed like a bit towards this area and this part of the film, things started to take a speed that we're like, okay, we're really it seemed like things started to go into high drive, where it's like they knew that they only had 15 to 20 minutes left in the film, and they were like, okay, we got to fit all this in. Come on, guys.
We got to go.
Yeah. And so the pacing to me a little bit towards the end got a little bit off. But yes, he's like, I will help you. We're going to go kill this girl. Let's do it. You make sure you keep her at the house. And so they kind of have this little plan.
Is there a bird?
That's got to be a big-ass bird.
Is it a dragon?
The dragon just literally like flew above us. That is weird.
Maybe it's an airplane. No, it was like hovering.
Yeah, it was like back and forth right here.
Weird.
Did we see an AUP? And it's with the new UFO.
Oh,
AUP.
That's right.
But anyways, yes. So we have them back at home.
We also get a flash of Emily getting a sleeping pill prescription.
Because
basically
she was telling the doctor she couldn't sleep.
Yeah. And
Mike getting his gun. They are getting ready. And then this is whenever she gets back home, but all of her fucking case files are on the floor, unfortunately, which I don't even know if necessarily this was true or it was just like a vision she's seeing in her head, essentially. Yeah. But she ends up like it leads her all the way to her bedroom, and she like pulls this like cork board thing underneath from her bed. Or is it Lily's bed?
It's Lily's bed,
right?
Yeah.
And it's basically everybody's picture who is close to Emily, and then like her basically like her death board. I'm gonna get you board. And then we see that Mike was on there.
Mike, with a picture of
her
Emily.
And then Doug was on there, and Diego was on there.
And Doug and Diego's pictures were flipped around, meaning she had already done what she needed to do with them.
That's true. And so then we have her just kind of like silently freaking out, but she is then hearing like a buzzing sound, and then it's a cell phone going off, vibrating, and she finds it underneath Lily's bed, in between the mattress and I guess the frame thing, the wood frame, and it's Wayne, and he tells her like, hey, I'm sorry to tell you. Oh, because all this is going on, and Mike is like imagining that he's getting attacked by dogs.
Yeah, Mike
in the parking garage.
Seeing these dogs in the parking garage, and then of course he gets in his car and one's in the back seat, and then it lunges and attacks him in the neck. But Mike had this shotgun ready to go because he was planning to go kill this little girl. And Mike takes aim at the dog, but it's not really there, and ends up shooting himself in the head instead. Unfortunately,
pretty bloody in the car. And so she's getting this phone call from Wayne being like, hey, like, I'm sorry to call you, but like, and honestly, I don't even think this was real. It wasn't. I don't feel like it was real. Was it? I feel like Lily was doing it. Even though Mike was dead and that did happen. I feel like that did happen. I just mean like the phone call from Wayne.
You think the phone call was
too
fake?
Fast. Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like Lily wanted to torture Emily and being like, your friend's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, she ends up getting that phone call, Mike is dead. They think that he shot himself. And like, she ends up just kind of dropping the phone on the floor. And it's funny because Lily's in the fucking living room eating popcorn and watching TV and
watching hip hop videos.
Yeah. And Emily just walks up and just fucking
flips the fucking TV.
Yeah. Flips the TV on the floor. Very, Scream, Stumacher.
Yeah.
And then, just like yeets the popcorn out of her hand. And she's just like, get out of my fucking house. And Lily is just like, what's the word? Reveling in it. Like, she's just like, hee, like, you can't do anything.
And then she stands up and her face distorts as well as her voice. And she's like, don't yell at me. and this demonic voice, and her face like turns blue.
Yeah.
And stuff.
It's like gets big and like bulgy. And
Yeah.
I think at this point, Emily's like, okay, I'm going to go to my bedroom now, because that really freaks her the fuck out.
Yeah.
I mean, it would too for me as well. But yeah, she runs to her room. She like locks herself in there. And this is whenever Lily's like yelling on the other side. He's like, I said I was sorry. I'll brush your hair.
I'll brush her hair. That's her favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And so this is whenever Emily's in the room, but fucking Lily is just like breaking the door down and the door frame, the bolts. And she's like, gets inside the bedroom after pushing the bed frame and everything out of the way, and she
like breaks down the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
Like the wall starts
the frame
splitting,
and everything, the bed frame, mm-hmm.
and
or not the door frame. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, the walls like splitting, all of the deadbolts fly off.
Yeah,
and you can tell, and this is where it's like very apparent that it's at a height too high for Lily.
And she goes into the bedroom. You can see her little feet, and she like looks underneath, or she grabs the knife and like stabs it into the floor, and is like, "I don't want to hurt you. Like, I'm gonna count to 1, 2, 3." Like,
she's also using her own words against her too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
because she's like, most families don't even know they have a problem until it's too late, kind of thing. Which is exactly what Emily said to her at the first, or said to
Diego's parents, right?
She said it to, I think, to her parents.
You're right.
Yeah, because they were like, we don't need help.
Yeah.
And then that's when she said, most families don't realize they have a problem. And then, yeah. But then she puts her head down there and she's like, what are you doing? You silly Billy, or silly pumpkin head?
Silly pumpkin head.
Yeah. What are you doing, you silly pumpkin head?
And then Emily's just like, what do you want? And she's just like, I just want you to love me.
What you wanted from your mother.
Mm-hmm. And so Emily's like, you know what? All right, I'm going to play your game. So she comes out from under the bed and she's like, all right, let's, Lily's like, come tuck me in. And she's like, okay. And Emily's like, let me make you some tea. And so she's making her tea, and she ends up putting the sleeping pill dust in it. And she takes it to Lily, and they're in the bedroom together. And she's like, you know, here's your tea. And Lily's like, you look stressed. You should drink this. And Emily's like, I'll have some later. You drink it.
You drink this. This one's for you.
Fucking bitch. And so, yeah, she ends up drinking the tea, and she ends up waiting for her to go to sleep, which she does. And that's whenever we have Emily grabbing a gas can from the garage or wherever and starts dousing the house. And so she ends up lighting it on fire. And at this point, it's a blaze. She ends up walking out. She saves the goldfish or whatever that fish was in the little tank. And
yeah, I know. At first I was like, oh damn, is she going down with her? Because she was just sitting on the couch while everything was burning around her. Yeah, I was like, because also arson people who investigate arson, it's so easy to tell.
Oh, they're gonna tell like she set that
fire. Yeah, and so I was like, she's setting this fire, like she's not going to get caught for it. And then I was like, oh, she's going down with her. That's her plan. And then I was like, damn, she's going to let the fish die. But then she walks out with them. And I was like, oh, good. She saves them.
Ends up walking out with them. And then that's whenever she's just like watching the whole place go down. Police come, fire people come. And that's whenever she gets like asked questions. She's kind of out of it right now. I think she's kind of thinking like, oh damn, I really did this. I really did it. And then like we're also seeing the house burn. It almost kind of sounded like, I thought I heard like a demon like kind of screaming at one point, or a little girl screaming like ow, ow, like into the like roar of the fire, but not, I guess no, because then she gets asked like by the firefighter like, was there anybody else in the house? And like, well, she can see past him, and fucking Lily's just there in a red coat, just like
standing there like
unscathed, like nothing had happened,
hunky dory,
like she was at the grocery store and just came home and was like, what's going on with our house?
And walks up to her and goes, that was mean.
Yeah. And so they end up getting told by the police like, hey, follow us, we're gonna escort you to a place to stay, to the police station, and find you a place to stay. And so Emily's just like, oh, the fuck. And so they get in the car, they're driving, they're trying to get there, but this is whenever Lily starts bringing up her mom, right?
Yeah, she's like, she hates herself and she hated you. And
they told you it was an accident, but you know it wasn't.
Yeah, you knew that wasn't true. And she says, you're afraid of the part of you that's her. And like, you're afraid that's why you never had kids of your own. Yeah, because you're afraid of being like her.
Yep. And that's whenever she ends up what's her face? Emily starts to drive a little crazy, and she's like, no, whatever. Like, I don't believe it. And then that's whenever Lily starts to make her go back in her head and give her a vision of it like raining again and putting her and reenacting the whole moment that like, you know, she was with her mom, except now she's her mom. When she looks in the mirror, it's a whole thing. It's really fucking with Emily's psyche, but then Emily is trying really hard to be like, you know, I'm not afraid. This isn't real. This is fake. I know this is fake. And ends up fighting through that hallucination that Lily's bringing on her. And at this point, she's like, I'm not afraid of you. And Lily kind of loses her power over her.
Yeah.
And then I love how she's like, looks at her and Lily's got this scared face on her. And she's just like, are you scared now?
Yeah. Are you scared? Because I'm not.
Yeah.
And then starts driving real fast and then crashes through this gate and then launches the car off of the little off the road dock thing. Yeah.
They were close to a lake / river.
Ocean kind of thing.
Yeah.
And goes right into the bay.
Yeah.
And she starts, you know, Lily had taken off her seatbelt right beforehand too, because she was like, I'm going to jump out of this car, save herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
since she took that seatbelt off, she was like, she hit the dashboard really
yeah,
hard.
she got banged up as they crashed, and Emily was fine. But then she starts going to get out, and Lily is apparently not unconscious, grabs her arm, and they start fighting.
Yeah.
And then Emily like gets Lily into the back seat somehow, and then is like crushing her in the trunk.
And trying to put her in the trunk and close the door behind her.
Yeah. And she's turning into this monster.
Yeah, because she's turning blue and like into this monster demon face type of situation. Her arms are getting longer and like her fingernails are getting more whatever claw-like. But thankfully, Emily's able to get out of the car. But just as she's swimming away from the vehicle, out of the trunk's like the tail light thing, the demon arm pops out and grabs onto Emily's leg.
And it's massive.
It's massive. Yeah. It's huge.
It's like a dragon.
Mm-hmm. And it's trying to hold on to Emily, but she fights hard enough to where she like kicks it away, and I guess does this little snap thing and gets away. And it seems as though she is able to get out the water. She gets up. We see that the car is bubbling underneath the water, and it
makes you think at first I thought Lily got out.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
that was
damn,
Lily's
is
hands?
Lily's
Yeah.
like Lily about to surface with those bubbles?
Yeah.
But thankfully it was just the car bubbling.
Yeah.
And going deeper into the ocean thing.
We just watch Emily as the credits start to roll in, as she's watching the car go down, and like catch her breath, and just kind of this harrowing moment of like, oh, I survived. I win. I win.
Pans
you lose.
out with her watching the water.
And the cityscape. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the end of Case 39.
Case 39, 2009 film. How many boos?
I would give this a good 2.5 boos. 2.89, 2.89, almost a 3.
Almost a 3. Why
almost
is that?
A 3. I thought that it could have been scarier.
Yeah.
There was a lot of points where I thought, and for some reason I remembered it being scarier. Maybe it's just I'm older now. Maybe we've seen a lot more horror movies since then, and it's been a while. But I thought it was scarier. But there's some stuff that I feel like it just could have been built on better. And then like towards the end, like I said earlier, the pacing for me kind of got a bit off, because I feel like there was a lot of not build up, a lot of backstory-ish, not backstory, but a lot of stuff to lead up to like this child's a demon, and you know. But we kind of already very like fast, like I think even with that meeting with Doug was like, okay, there's something wrong with this bitch.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like it could have picked up a little bit more faster then, and we could have gotten a longer, or I don't know, feel like a more fleshed out ending, because it did feel like it just kind of like went through the end really fast. And then it was, and then also like we just drowned her. And then I'm also thinking of like, and because then you hear the sirens go, I'm like, how the fuck is she gonna explain this?
Yeah.
Like you just left your burning house that we obviously can tell that you committed arson for. All your friends died, and then now the little girl's dead.
Yeah. Obviously there was a little girl staying with you now, and now she's gone. So
yeah.
And you crashed your car into the lake.
It almost seemed like, I guess I wanted more of a better story for Emily in this sense, or more of a happier ending, because I feel like, damn, like
I feel like Emily's not going to get out of it.
yeah, I don't either. And Homegirl was just trying to do her job at first, and then just got entangled with this demon. Like,
yep.
It's pretty.
And no one's going to believe her.
Yeah, it gives me very. Did you ever watch that movie Drag Me to Hell?
Yeah.
Like, same ending, where it's just like, damn, like you really wish there would have been like some.
Isn't that one at the end where she's on the train tracks and like
yeah,
she gets like
and dragged back. You
dragged
thought
back.
you thought she made it and she was gonna be happy
Yeah.
and good, but then it was like, nah, like we just you thought she beat the curse or whatever. Because remember that witch that cursed her from the bank or whatever. She was trying to. She was working that bank and she got spit on. But anyways, and she was just doing her job. It wasn't her. She was. I mean the. You know what I mean? If she wanted to, accept that loan, she probably wanted to, but the bank told her no. Anyways, yeah. So, but I mean, all in all, Emily did a really good. Renee did a really good job. Everybody did a really good job. I thought Bradley Cooper scene in the bathroom with the bees was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna give it a 3. I'll give it a 3. Yeah.
Fair.
Also, really liked that dude, Mike. He's a really good actor. He's the dude from the Halloween movie. Remember the newer one?
Yeah.
And he plays.
He's in lots of things.
And yeah, for sure. But he was the doctor that was like had a fascination with Michael Myers, and then basically let him loose so that he can run back into Laurie Strode. He's like the whole cause of the newer 2018 Halloween thing.
Ian McShane.
Yes, him.
Yeah, he's been in
I love his
so
voice.
many things. John Wick, all the John Wicks. He was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, Captain Barbados, I think.
And lots of other Hercules. He was a voice in Coraline and Kung Fu Panda.
What? Cute.
Hellboy. He was in Hot Rod. That's what I know him from the most. He was the dad in Hot Rod.
Got it.
Hot Rod is my favorite
movie
movie of all time.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Andy Samberg's one of my main boys. Love him.
No wonder you like Adam Driver. I feel like I feel like they're the one and the same person.
Oh, like they're because of their
interchangeable.
nose?
I guess so. Yeah. Their height, their nose, they're similar vibes. But yeah. And so yeah, I give it a 3. I just give it a solid 3.
That's fair. You want to know some trivia?
Yes.
This movie was completed in 2007 and was initially scheduled for an American release in August of 2008, but it was delayed twice before its final release date on October, this says 2010, 3 years after completing production. But I'm guessing it was one of those things where...
Jeez, that's a long time.
American and foreign release dates are different.
Yeah.
Chloe Grace Moretz and Isabel Fuhrman were considered for the part of Lilith Sullivan. But coincidentally, this movie opened in the United States the same week as Let Me In, which featured Moretz. I don't think Chloe Grace Moretz would have been as creepy.
No, I don't.
Something about a little blonde girl's not as creepy.
Well, and isn't the Isabel Fuhrman girl? That's the girl from The Orphan. Yep. That's literally the girl from The Orphan.
Yep.
So it's funny how we were like, oh, she gives the same vibes.
Yeah, I could have seen that one better. This movie was released in New Zealand first on August 13th, 2009, and it didn't get the American theatrical release for another year.
Okay.
And then...
That's funny. What else happened?
Oh, it said Samantha Weinstein also auditioned for the role of Lilith.
Well, and that the girl who actually played Lilith in this, I feel like I've seen her in other stuff too, but I like couldn't place my finger on it.
Oh yeah, she's been in other things too.
She was in Silent Hill.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, I know her from something else, but I couldn't remember exactly
and I knew
what.
she was in The Cabin in the Woods. I remember, and the Twilight. Yeah, she was in Twilight. I know that much. I remember her now.
Did she play the grown Renesmee?
No, I think she played just some like off vampire or something, or one of the other.
Oh.
Because remember, wasn't that the one whenever the redheaded girl was trying to like build her army, and she like made other little vampires that didn't really matter?
It's been a while since I've seen Twilight films.
But yeah. Anyways, any other fun facts?
Nope, that's all.
What's your boo rating?
She is also in the 2002 Carrie.
Keep it horror related.
Yep. I would give it a 3.
A 3?
Yeah.
Solid 3.
A 3 for me.
3 boos.
It was an all-around pretty okay movie. I enjoyed everyone's acting, like you said. Everyone did a pretty solid job. Nothing was too terribly unbelievable. I think
even the Maggie, the dad, Edward, like even the smaller roles, even Diego did a good little job for his little kid role.
He did. Yeah, all of the acting was good.
Even that one bitch that said, "Don't ever do that again," when she came and like pulled the girl pulled her out of the therapy session. Yeah,
everyone did a great job. All around pretty believable movie. It was like I was watching, something unfold.
It feels like, unfortunately, stuff that happens all the time in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty, not a whole lot. I mean, it's a creepy kid movie, which is pretty standard, and a kid being a demon, which is also pretty standard. But it felt like a unique take on that.
Yeah.
To me.
It did as well. It felt like an original story.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like something I'd seen before. But I also feel like it could have been maybe even hammed up a little bit more. It was just a little bit scarier. Or maybe I would have liked to seen her turn into a full-fledged demon. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like instead of just the little flashes of her.
But even then, I guess it is like you said.
Maybe the budget wasn't big enough.
But like you said too, sometimes like the mystery or like only seeing a little bit of things, like just seeing that one arm, like especially pop out at the end of the car, like that was pretty like, oh whoa. It kind of gives you like what could have been, like, or what could she do? Like kind of makes her seem like she could do anything, which is even scarier.
Yeah. Like Hulk out of that car and still come after Emily.
I feel like she's still alive.
Yeah. She could be very easily.
Case 42.
Probably has like
what would
the
be
ability
the
to
title to Case 39, like right, just another
case 39.2.
Yeah,
it's like Lion King 1.5.
Yeah. Oh, with Timon and Pumbaa. The backstory, cute. But yeah, that's 2009's Case 39, brought to you once again from the lovely Rogue Media Network studio. That's
right. They take great care of us, and you can listen to us and all the other amazing podcasts on this network all in one central place, and that is at
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
And you can also listen to us on wherever you get your podcasts, the biggest two being
Spotify
and also Apple. And wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that's the only way we can get ahead in the charts. I told you this weekend, but I'll mention it here again. We showed up on the suggested for someone that didn't know me, but now knows me.
Super cool.
And so I was telling my students, maybe at university level, that I do this podcast. Then all of a sudden I said BooBaes, and the girl was like, wait. One of the girls was like, this sounds familiar. And then she was like, hold on, let me look at my phone. And she pulled it up, and she was listening, like one of the last things she had been listening to was our Purge episode. And we just showed up randomly in her suggested feed, which was really cool.
Yeah.
It felt neat and organic. And so
as opposed to like, oh, you made her do it, or she knew you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like people actually know us who are not our friends and family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the couple of devoted fans that we do have, because we do have some good fans.
Yes.
But yeah, it was really cool. So I was excited for that. But yeah, it does help us get ahead in this world whenever you actually rate and review. Yeah. Because it helps us get ahead on the charts. So please don't, if you're listening and you haven't done that yet, please go do that. We'd super duper appreciate it.
Yes.
But 5 stars only, please. Don't hurt our feelings.
Only 5 stars, please.
But if you want to let us know your thoughts on Case 39, or if you have any other suggestions for us on what movies we should cover for spooky season, we're going to do a mix of films that we choose and then also listener requests. So if you have any ideas that you want us to cover, please reach out to us. And you can do so on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at
BooBaes Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes. So make sure you don't put that B in there, the extra B.
Extra B. Use some B's, though.
Use the first B and the third B. But like always,
second B.
So, well, what is it? Use the first and the third B, right? BOOB. Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Fourth, but only 2 B's.
Would it only be? Yeah, you're right. All right. You know what? It's just that BooBaes.
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 Boob. Oh, I see what you mean now. But yeah, is there anything else, Kayla?
I don't think so. So until, what are we covering next? Not the Nun. Is
Not
it the Nun?
No,
it's
the
not
Evil
the
Dead
Nun.
Rise. The Evil Dead Rise. We're gonna be doing.
We told y'all
Dead
last week it was the Nun. Surprise! It's not.
It's not.
And it's not the
Rise.
Nun again. It's Evil Dead Rise. So that's exciting. It's we saw that movie in theaters together, and I'm excited to watch it again and take some notes on it.
And if you'd like to watch it before you hear our episode, it is on HBO Max, you guys. So you can go stream that for free.
For free.
Well, I mean, you have to
pay for HBO Max.
But if you don't have it,
you can probably get a trial subscription.
Do that. Make up a fake email. Hit up a friend. Someone's got to have it.
Someone's got it. But until next time, you guys.
Bye, baes.
Bye, baes. BooBaes.
BooBaes.
And now, a word from our sponsors.